Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Madonna. Today, as you requested, I'm going to react to and analyze 3 more of her music videos. Today, those music videos are going to be Express Yourself, Bad Girl, and since I just reacted to Madam X, I'm going to react to the music video for God Control. I also just wanted to mention that one of the most requested videos was You'll See, but I realized that that's for a song from Something to Remember, which I haven't listened to yet, so I think I'm going to hold off on watching that one until I've listened to the album. As always, I won't be able to interpret every single detail in these videos from every possible angle, so I encourage you to leave your own interpretations and analysis in the comments down below, and let me know what other Madonna music videos I should react to. Check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, let's take a look at the first music video, Express Yourself. I love the cold industrial look of the video. It's very overexposed and almost kind of sterile and harsh. I like the sort of gender contrast between the cold masculine world and the warm feminine world. Oh, interesting. Okay, she's crossed over into the masculine world. Interesting that she was in chains then. Interesting. So now she's sort of crawling like a cat. Okay. Weird. Interesting. Intercutting of the love-making and the fighting. Okay, I need to read that quote because I think it's important. Without the heart, there can be no understanding between the hand and the mind. Okay, interesting. That was a really cool music video. So we have this sort of dystopian society that feels like it's supposed to be a pretty straightforward allegory for the ways that we socially repress our desires and how that affects people differently based on their gender. We basically have all of these men doing this sort of choreographed, sort of hyper-masculine, like workout routine sort of thing. It's this sort of feeling of drudgery, like they are cogs in a machine. And in contrast to that, we have Madonna as this sort of figurehead for their liberation. And we have this one man who, you know, seeks out her voice, follows her cat back home, and is freed from this very confining sort of existence. The message, of course, seems to be you have to free yourself of the limitations on your desire and embrace your connection with other people. Like the quote says at the end, you have to follow your heart. What's interesting to me is how Madonna's character sort of shapeshifts throughout the video. We have her presenting in one moment as hyper-feminine and in the next as more masculine. She's talked in her more recent music about, you know, being a boy and being a girl and never feeling adequate, but I don't think that's exactly what's going on here. She's more using these sort of different gender expressions to assert her power. The power really is to be both things, to embrace the feminine and the masculine, because that is what allows her to open up and to embrace this love. We have this cat as sort of the embodiment of her feminine energy, and of course what happens is she lets the cat go, and so it's the sort of house cat, right? This pet known for being in the domestic world, when it is set free, it comes back with a lover. So in allowing herself to free her femininity, it opens up the door for her to experience this connection. In a way, it almost feels like her trying to empathize with the masculine point of view. By understanding her counterpart, she can better connect with him. But of course, she's also always in a power position. In the song, it's all about telling women you need to expect more of men. You need to have men open up to you. That's how you develop real connections. And that's why towards the end, we get this sort of contrast between these men fighting, surrounded by other men, being egged on by each other, being observed by men in power, and this other man who breaks off from that to embrace this love. Because her partner liberates himself as well of these very specific expectations. That juxtaposition might also suggest that there is some conflict inherent in these connections, which is also supported by the song itself, because the song is about overcoming these conflicts, these missed connections, by expressing yourself and opening up to each other. So there is always going to be, in Madonna's worldview, this sort of tension between the very sort of limiting expectations that we have of people based on their gender and the ability of people to shake those norms and connect with each other. That's also conveyed by this like almost steampunk leaning, almost looks like Gotham City sort of aesthetic, this very cold world rendered with these harsh stones and metals, and again these blue tones, versus Madonna's world, which is overexposed, it's just drenched in light, and she has these vibrant colors. And so again, this partner overcoming these very harsh, confining expectations allows him to experience this world that's warm and vibrant and colorful and exciting. There might be more specific movie references that I'm missing in here, like maybe it references like an older movie like Metropolis or something that I haven't seen. So as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video, but I really enjoyed it. And I think the message is still relevant today. Being able to break free of our expectations can open us up to new possibilities. With that in mind, let's move on to the second music video, Bad Girl. Oh, okay. Is that Christopher Walken? Okay, another video where she's smoking. That was really cool. Okay. She was already ready at the bar. Oh, maybe he's like an angel or something. Okay, another cat again, wow. I think every music video should have Christopher Walken in it. We've got some tension building here. Another image of her like behind that screen. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So yes, I do think he was in fact an angel. Okay. Okay. Wow. I remember someone mentioning that this was directed by David Fincher. It is very cinematic in its story and in its visual style. I'm interested in the message that this video is trying to send because, to an extent, with the song, it almost feels like moralizing about the existence of a bad girl type character, because in the song, you know, she's saying how she's living this sort of indulgent life, but inside she's really not happy. And then in the music video, living that life kills her. We have some obvious connections to express yourself, which I think is really cool. First of all, we have smoking as the symbol of her being like on top of things, being a leader. Smoking, I guess, in film is associated with a few different concepts. We have sort of the cigarette after sex idea. And then we also have, just a general sort of boss character smoking in their office, and that's very much what she is. So she has these sort of, typically masculine qualities of being liberated sexually and being this sort of, boss character in this office, which of course today we are more open to the idea of, a woman also being a boss. But I think it's fair to say that about 30 years ago would have been a bit more subversive. We also have the cat, which I think is really cool. Again, the sort of embodiment of, Madonna's sort of cloistered, not repressed necessarily, but the feminine energy, her sort of desire that she is saving up for someone. Another moment that stood out to me was when Madonna's character puts in eye drops, like artificial tears, while drinking this glass of wine. It felt to me like someone who is having trouble letting out their emotions, so she literally needed artificial tears in order to let them start flowing. So just like the male characters in the Express Yourself music video were repressing their emotions and their desires, here Madonna's character is repressing her sadness, but covering it up through, I guess, a similar type of connection that she was advocating for in the Express Yourself music video, though not exactly. I think we are meant to believe that the connection in the Express Yourself video was more emotionally significant, whereas here she's mostly just having random hookups and, drinking and smoking to cover up the pain. To an extent, this sort of moral feels like it might temper Madonna's more forward-thinking messaging in the video, like Madonna being this boss character, Madonna experiencing sexual liberation, and on the other hand, having her effectively being punished for it through death. There is sort of a trope in a lot of movies that a woman engaging sexually is a death sentence, especially in horror. Do I think Madonna is meaning to imply that, indulging in these things makes you an immoral person worthy of punishment? Not at all. But I do think that she is cautioning against a certain type of embrace of these things that is emotionally unhealthy. The common thread between these first two videos, then, is that repressing your feelings is dangerous. I'm also thinking about the role of Christopher Walken's character here, and I don't know. On the one hand, I believe he's supposed to be a guardian angel, but on the other hand, the way that he's portrayed is very ominous. He is looking at her, spying on her through windows, and you can tell she sort of looks over her shoulder at points. He sort of brings to mind that sort of overseer character from the Express Yourself video, this sort of masculine watchful eye making sure that nothing's out of order. But then again, he's the one who also delivers her this kiss and who welcomes her into the afterlife, and they share a cigarette. Because we have this sort of parallel between Christopher Walken delivering, I guess, this kiss of death, and then her partner being the one ultimately who probably kills her. But the angel is also more of a welcoming presence. He seems to understand Madonna and relate to her. The more I think about it, I feel like the guardian angel is almost an extension of the energy of Madonna's character. She has this counterpoint to her who is masculine, but who acts basically the same way that she does. Because again, there is this sort of subversiveness to the way that Madonna's character acts in conventionally masculine ways. So in that way, I guess you could read the death as a certain liberation from this sadness and an ability just to, be herself with, just guys being dudes, with Christopher Walken smoking a cigarette and, sort of commiserating over, I guess, their one-night stands or something like that. So I would be very curious to hear what you think about this relationship between Madonna and her guardian angel in this video. Alright, the third and final video I'm going to be checking out today is God Control. Okay, good to know. I'll put that warning on the screen too. Okay, I agree. Wow, the shift to a modern style of filming is very, very apparent after watching those music videos. Jeez. It's interesting how she's positioning herself as a revolutionary with that photo of Angela Davis and I think Frida Kahlo. So we have images of Jesus' martyrdom next to a children's choir, the martyrdom of children. The contrast here between the music and the visuals is very jarring. Interesting. Moving from the most disturbing scenes to the most joyous scenes. It's an interesting decision. Oh, interesting. So the lyrics sort of move in reverse like the music video's chronology. Oh, okay. So we had some large-scale gun violence and then some small-scale. Is there an ad in the middle of this video? Well, while there's an ad, we had that large-scale gun violence of the club shooting and then the small-scale gun violence of just being mugged on the street. Okay, here we go. Now we're moving into the very literal message. Just going to pause for this quote here. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. That is attributed to Angela Davis. And then we have some gun violence statistics here to close out the video with the counter increasing. I also just wanted to read the description of the video. It says, this is your wake-up call. Gun violence disproportionately affects children, teenagers, and the marginalized in our communities. Honor the victims and demand gun control now. Volunteer, stand up, donate, reach out, wake up, and insist on common sense gun safety legislation. Innocent lives depend on it. Join me in supporting the following organizations. I will link to this video so that you can check out those organizations on your own if you'd like to. So obviously a lot to unpack here. I think one thing from the description of the video that becomes even more apparent is the decision to have this at a disco club with a very clearly diverse group of dancers. She talks about gun violence disproportionately affecting marginalized communities, so she had a lot of performers of color in the video. That to me also brings to mind the Pulse shooting. I do appreciate that she didn't choose to show a school shooting, which was one of the main focuses, I think, of the song itself, because that would have been too much, to be honest, for me at least. The video is disturbing enough on its own, but I appreciate that the editing sort of lessens that blow by showing us the events in reverse chronological order, so we know what happens already. It's not like we're building up this tension to an event. It's not meant to be sensationalized, but I think that's something that might throw some people off, and that threw me off a little bit, specifically tonally with the choice to play that very energetic dance music underneath the shooting scene. I think some people might find it glib, but I do understand the point that she's trying to make. There are these two very disparate aspects of life happening in parallel, and I think that's exemplified by the Madonna character in the blonde wig, because we see her getting ready to go out, getting all dolled up, putting on all these fancy ostentatious clothes while watching on the news about a school shooting. And of course, the choice to go out and have fun in these sort of circumstances can be read different ways. On the one hand, it can be read as a rebellion against the forces that are working against individuals' joy, and on the other hand, it can be read as flouting all of these horrible circumstances, just escaping from it and not confronting it. Of course, that does end up, I believe, killing this character, so you could read that again as a sort of moral of pay attention, you are not immune to this issue, and inaction will ultimately hurt everyone. Also, just randomly, I recognized Sofia Boutella in this music video. I believe she was in one of the Kingsman films, as well as the movie Climax. It was interesting to have the, I believe, Madam X character, the Madonna in the black wig, as this framing device, with her typing out the lyrics, being surrounded by these images of, you know, revolutionary women figures. Again, she was smoking, where smoking in these last two videos represented being at the vanguard of something, and I think that is how Madonna is positioning that character in this video as well. The typewriter, it's a bit puzzling. What era are we in? But, you know, I get it. It was an aesthetic choice. I mean, I guess the modern analog would be her vaping at a laptop, but that's sort of less visually exciting. The video really doesn't hold back. We have caskets, we have people crying, we have a children's choir, we have news footage. So we have the fictionalized story of this dramatized incident giving way to actual things that have happened in real life to make it ultra clear that this is a fictional scenario that is meant to represent real life events. This obviously doesn't have the same sort of, you know, symbolic subtlety that the last couple videos had, because it's not that type of video. It's not the type of video where you want to peel back layers and discover things, you know, come to your own emotional conclusions about things. Madonna wants to tell us how to feel about this. She wants us to feel horrified and then motivated to change the things that are horrifying us. Of course, there will always be debates over whether, you know, this was a tactful way to present these issues, or whether the style of the video was appropriate for the comments that she was trying to make. But regardless, the comments themselves, I think, were necessary, and I, you know, applaud her for saying them. Subjectively, of these three videos, I think I enjoyed the middle one, Bad Girl, the most, though I also really loved Express Yourself. I don't see myself returning to the God Control music video, mostly because it is really disturbing to me. I've actually been watching a lot of movies in the last few months in quarantine, and just personally, scenes of gun violence in movies are the ones that affect me the most. So while I wouldn't exactly call watching God Control an enjoyable experience, I think it was an important one. And there was obviously a lot of care and craft put into it that I can appreciate beyond the level of just, was it fun and enjoyable to watch? With all that in mind, thank you so much for recommending that I watch these music videos. They were excellent. Please let me know in the comments down below what Madonna music videos I should react to next, and what other topics you'd like to see me cover on my channel. Check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.